Hello, welcome once again to my Hard Brexit scenario on Football Manager 2020, where the UK has left UEFA as well as the EU as part of Brexit, and we have a look at what remains in the UK's version of other things. We have the Brexit Champions League, we have the Premier League split up into 40 leagues, and you've also got me with a cold, so there may be a few edits on this video from when I stopped to cough and stuff, so apologies for any dodgy edits. We'll start off by congratulating Walton and Hersham, who have already been promoted from the Surrey Premier Division. I only know this because I noticed it there, but we'll probably see a quick pic of it later anyway. We'll try and flick through everything nice and quickly on this one, just to give you a brief update from the 1st of March. And the first thing we're going to check out is the Cup Winners' Cup, because that has happened now. We can find out who did what in the Cup Winners' Cup, because it's finished. Spoiler alert for the final there, but we'll go and have a look at the group stage first. So in the group stage we had 3 groups of 4, with the top 4 going through, just like the Club World Cup really. So in Group A, Man City and Portsmouth qualified for the semi-finals, Man City being the FA Cup winners, Portsmouth the Leasing.com trophy winners, or the Checkatrade trophy, call it what you want. Bermuda's Robin Hood and the Cayman Islands Academy were also in that group. In Group B, Celtic qualified ahead of Europa from Gibraltar, TNS of Wales and Sugar Boys, who were from the British Virgin Islands. Great name for a team. Meanwhile, in Group C, Liverpool qualified in top spot ahead of Crusaders from Northern Ireland, Guernsey from the British territories, and Attackers from Anguilla. And missing, trying to work out what countries don't seem to be in there. But no, it doesn't matter too much anyway. So if we move on and have a look at what happened elsewhere in the tournament. In fact, let's have a look in the semi-finals. Celtic lost to Man City 3-2, Liverpool beat Portsmouth 3-0, and then in the final, Man City beat Liverpool 2-0 at Wembley. And if we see if we can see who scored the goals, Leroy Sané and Bernardo Silva scoring the goals. So not bad. And let's see who was the top goal scorer in the tournament as well. Morgan Rogers of Man City, so they weren't playing the first team for every game either. 4 goals from him. Alfredo Morelos, apparently a new signing for Liverpool, he scored 3, and so on and so on. And that was a fun little look into that tournament. Now we'll move on to the Brexit Champions League and see how that's going, because we've moved on a little to, I don't know why we're in English Reserves Group 5. There we go, Brexit Champions League. We've had a couple of rounds in, and we're actually on to the quarter-finals now. So if we have a look and see what happened in the second round, Manchester United knocked out Brighton 1-0 on aggregate. Man City knocked out Leicester. Oh no, not 3-1 on aggregate, sorry. 6-1 on aggregate, Man City beat Leicester. We had Celtic beating Bournemouth 4-0 on aggregate. Forest knocked out Burnley on away goals there. Swansea knocked out St Johnstone. Chelsea eliminated Norwich 3-1 on aggregate, while Sheffield United were beaten by Newcastle 4-1 on aggregate. Liverpool beating Stoke 4-0 on aggregate, and Derby beat Cardiff 3-2 on aggregate. And yes, plus the other games, obviously you can see them all there. Pause if you want to have a proper look. And in the third round, sorry, Celtic beating Swansea, Watford knocked out Villa, Newcastle beat Derby, Man City knocked out Bristol City, Ross County eliminated Aberdeen on away goals, Nottingham Forest beat St Mirren, Chelsea knocked out Southampton only on away goals, and Man U beat Liverpool on aggregate 3-2. Oh dear for Liverpool, they are out of the Brexit Champions League, and we can see who is in the quarter-finals here. So the draw for the quarter-finals of the Brexit Champions League: Nottingham Forest versus Manchester City, Chelsea v Watford, Newcastle v Celtic, and Manchester United v Ross County. It is looking very much like I would say a Man City, Chelsea, Celtic, Man United semi-finals there. And then who knows who could win. If we have a look at the Empire League, clicking too many buttons here. They've not had the second round yet, I mean the third round, but in the second round, in the big games, Everton knocked out Cambridge, Man U knocked out Preston. Remember the Man U and Man City are in this as well as the Champions League because the Gibraltar teams didn't go through for some reason on the first one. Hopefully that will rectify in the second season, but it gives them both a chance of double gold. Stevenage made it through to the third round, beating Inverness Caledonian Thistle. Burton eliminated by Alloa Athletic on away goals. Spurs eliminated Hamilton. Man City beat Macclesfield. Wolves beat Portsmouth, and Sunderland beat Wickham in that all League One tie there. Rangers eliminated Chesterfield. Bristol Rovers beat Crusaders, but Ballymena United keep Northern Irish representation into the third round when they beat Crawley on away goals. And then Middlesbrough beat Notts County as well. In the third round, their draw looks as follows: Hearts v Sunderland, Scunthorpe v United, Middlesbrough v Rangers, Ayr United v Spurs, Everton v Man City, Stevenage v Ballymena United. So one of those teams is going to make the quarterfinals. Bristol Rovers v Exeter, bit of a West Country derby there. And Alloa Athletic v Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's a good draw for Alloa Athletic. Get a bit more money in there. In fact, all the teams that got to this round have probably made a little bit of money. If I just check how much they won by winning in the last round. So all the winners from the first, so all those teams have won £2.5 million, and the losers got 500,000. But Alloa Athletic, if they lose, they get 1 million as well. So they've made 3.5 million just from the last two rounds at least. Not too bad. How about in actual Europe? How is the Champions League looking there? I think they've only had the start of the second round there. They didn't immediately go into it like we did in the UK. But the early results are looking as follows. So first leg results: Maribor winning. PSG are beating Real Madrid after the first leg, and that was away. Leverkusen beating Napoli. Leipzig and Benfica all even. Shakhtar beating Copenhagen. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid 1-1. Zebra 3-0 over Karabakh. Not that surprising, that is it. And Bayern Munich losing the first leg at home to Lyon. Meanwhile, in the Europa League or Euro Cup, the big games: Wolfsburg beating Moscow in the first leg. Lazio 0-0 with Sevilla. Eintracht Frankfurt and Getafe drawing 0-0. Mönchengladbach beat Torino 1-0, and Roma beat Spartak Moscow 3-0. The other games, oh, well, maybe the French derby has Rennes beating Saint Etienne as well. Meanwhile, also in Euro Cup 2 or the Europa Conference League, call it what you will, the one big game there obviously is Werder Bremen v Inter Milan, and that went the way of Inter Milan in the first leg 3-0. Other big results: 5-0 win for Athletic Bilbao against KR Reykjavik of Iceland. That's not too much of a surprising result if you ask me. And Young Boys smashing Zelina 4-0. We'll find out more about these tournaments in about 2 episodes time. We're not going to cover these ones on the next edition, and I'll explain why later when we get to the end. Now we'll give a bit of a look to the. Let's see what's happening in the British territories. I'm giving it a little extra time because we don't have as much to go through today. Because I believe one of them has pretty much been decided now, so we're on top of Isle of Man. That's it. Guernsey have already won the Guernsey Creole League. I don't know how you pronounce that, but they've won it already with. Actually, there's only 4 games left for them to play because it's they play each other twice there. But well done to Guernsey, you have qualified for the Brexit Champions League already. Jersey Bulls are probably going to win it. We've the Pitcairn Islands National Championship has been completed. They only have 4 teams, and Ueno Island and Henderson Island finished in the top 2 in the group stage, meaning they would go on to the final, which was played at the Springfield Stadium in Jersey, of course, apparently, because they all are. 2-1 Ueno Island won the Pitcairn Islands National Championship, so congratulations to them. They will also be in the Brexit Champions League. Akrotiri and Decalia doesn't actually start until April. In St Helena, FC Lakers, Fire FC are top of the Falkland Islands with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Unfortunately for them, they're second bottom. and there's not many games left, so they're not. In fact, look how terrible they are. And they were the team that were in the Champions League on the first season, so not good for them. South Georgia, Husvik top, and of course we know about the other two in the British Territories Challenge Cup. We have 4 teams left. We're on the semi-finals. Douglas Royal v Jersey Bulls and Guernsey v Sark in the semi-finals. In fact, only looking at it, the only team from outside of the Isle of Man, Guernsey and Jersey to actually to get any further than the 4th round was, well, CNR Construction of the Falkland Islands. They were the only team to get to the 4th round that weren't from those 3 leagues, which shows you how strong those 3 are. Which isn't too surprising. They are the best. They actually have real teams, they do. So we'll also have a look at Scotland and have a quick flick through who's winning those leagues at the moment, see if any of those are decided. I imagine that St Johnstone have won the Perthshire one by now, but to have a look, Dundee are top of the Angus Premiership by 6 points ahead of Dundee United, while in Ayrshire Kilmarnock lead the way, 10 points ahead of Ayr United, but Ayr United have 3 games in hand because of that Empire League run. In Central Scotland, Falkirk are top by 12 points ahead of Alloa, but Alloa, well, actually they've only got 1 game in hand despite their Empire League run. Dumfries and Galloway, Queen of the South are top by 9 points ahead of Stranraer. In Fife, Dunfermline are top by 8 points ahead of Wraith, while in Glasgow, Celtic and Rangers still haven't caught up in fixtures. They haven't caught up with their fixtures. Celtic, they've played 24 now, but they did lose the return leg against Rangers 1-0. So they've got a game against each other. So when they finally do play all their games, it could be a bit of a close one. But both are still in the Brexit Champions League and the Empire League. A couple of wins against Benburb there for Rangers. They're catching up, slowly. Partick still top of the league with 86 points. In Grampian, Peterhead at top, Elgin in second, Aberdeen third with many games in hand like the other two, and considering they're only 5 points behind the top spot, I imagine once Aberdeen play those games they will take the lead. In the Highland and Islands, Inverness, Caledonian Thistle are top by 3 points ahead of Ross County, but Ross County have 3 games in hand. In Lanarkshire, Hamilton Academical top of the league, Motherwell not too far behind and have 3 or 4 games in hand. Lothian, Hibs and Hearts top of the league, 29 games each, both unbeaten, both with a couple of draws that are not both against each other. Only one of them was against each other. The other was against Livingston for both, and Spartans got a draw against Hearts as well. Meanwhile, in Perthshire, St Johnstone have won the league and they've got a much bigger gap than Guernsey have from their one. So St Johnstone are 31 points clear, and I don't think they've got many games left to play either. Renfrew, 2 of the playoff spots have been decided, Morton and St Mirren. Clydebank and Vale of Leven holding the other 2 spots. While finally in the Scottish Borders, Vale of Leven, apparently they are 2 different teams, are top by 2 points ahead of Gala Ferrydean Rovers, but there's all to play for. And a quick flick through the second divisions and third divisions, and in the Scottish Cup we're in the quarterfinals, and all the quarterfinal results have been decided. Celtic beating Rangers 3-0 in a Old Firm derby, Motherwell making it against Livingston, Cove Rangers eliminated by Inverness, Caledonian Thistle, and Kelty Hearts' run has been ended by St Mirren 3-0. We haven't had the draw for the semi-finals yet, but we know the teams in it. Quick look at the League Cups. We seem to all be in the semi-final stage now, and I think we were last time in fact, so nothing new has happened there. Oh, we do have a couple of finals. Perth, Renfrewshire, and they still haven't finished the group stage in the Scottish Borders. In the Tunnocks Caramel Wafer Challenge Cup, we're at the quarterfinal stage. If you're a fan of any of these teams, congratulations, they have made the quarterfinals. Over in Wales, we have in Clwyd, Wrexham are top of the league by 16 points ahead of Ruffin, with Colwyn Bay a little bit behind actually. I was about to say not too far behind, but they're 7 points behind. Dyfed, Aberystwyth are top of the league with 60 points, but it's on goal difference ahead of Llanelli and Carmarthen. They've all got 60 points, and behind them Prendergast with 57 points. It's all to play for in Dyfed. Gwent, Newport County have won the Gwent Premier. They have got 75 points, many points ahead of Cwmbran Celtic, and there are 5 games left to play, so that's a decent win for Newport County. They'll be in the Brexit Champions League next season. Gwynedd, Bangor City are top by 9 points, so I imagine they'll be taking their space there too. They've also got a game in hand over Barla. In Miglamorgan, Merthyr Town top of the league, and by a decent margin too, so they'll probably be winning the league soon. In Powys, Newtown are top, joint top with Llanrheadr, both on 75 points, and that one could go to the end. That one's got that's a 38 game league, so they've still got a few games to play. South Glamorgan, Cardiff obviously top, 25 wins out of 25, 97 goals scored, only 1 conceded, 75 points. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 5-0, 3-0, 3-0, 8-0 over STM Sports. They've been winning a lot. Barry Town in second with 70. So only 5 points clear, so they haven't won the league yet, but I don't think they're not going to win. In West Glamorgan, Port Talbot are still top, 75 points, 6 points ahead of Swansea City, but Swansea City have 5 games in hand. I think they'd lost, yes, they had lost that game last time, so Port Talbot can try and run them down a bit, but no, they can't. Port Talbot lost to them 2-0 a few games back, so Swansea should be claiming top spots soon once they've caught up with their games. In the second tiers, pause if you want to have a proper look. We've got a promoted team there, Fordham, well done to them. And the other tiers, then we've got a 4th tier, 4th tier, 4th tier, 5th tier, 6th tier. All to play for in all them divisions though, isn't there? Quarter-finals, it's a similar situation as in Scotland in the Welsh Cup. Cardiff are through to the semi-finals after beating Llanrheadr, I think that's how you pronounce it, 3-0. Ruffin beat Llanidloes 1-0 after extra time. Wrexham knocked out Stephen Druids, and Swansea beat Llanwit Major to make the semi-finals. We don't know who they'll be playing, who each team will be playing, but we know who is there. And Cardiff, Wrexham and Swansea, that's not too much of a surprise, is it? In the League Cups, semi-finals, and more semi-finals. Cardiff versus Cardiff met in the semi-finals. A Cardiff derby. All matches there are probably Cardiff derbies, to be fair. There's about 6 teams from Cardiff in the top division alone. West Glamorgan, Swansea against Swansea Uni. So both Cardiff and Swansea are playing their universities in the semi-finals, which is kind of cool. Finally, England on this, I would say brief update, but we're still going to hit half an hour, I imagine. So in England, Luton, top of the Bedfordshire Premier League Division, 27 wins out of 27, 92 goals scored, quite similar to Cardiff. Any big results there? 10-0 they beat Stopfold, and 6-0 they beat Biggleswade United. So a decent season for Luton. I imagine they'll be capturing the league title soon. In Berkshire, Reading are top by 11 points ahead of Maidenhead United, while in Bristol and Gloucestershire, Forest Green still holding their own, 59 points ahead, 1 point ahead of Bristol City, and then Cheltenham and Bristol Rovers some way behind both of those teams. So Forest Green are pushing to try and win this division, and I would like to see it because I'm a fan of Forest Green. I do enjoy them. In Buckinghamshire, Wycombe, top of the league, joint on goal difference. Wycombe ahead of Milton Keynes Dons, 53 goals to 45 goals there. It's close in Buckinghamshire. Cambridgeshire, Peterborough, 5 points clear of Cambridge. I'd say that one's safely in Peterborough's hands. Cheshire Crew are top of the league by 1 point ahead of Macclesfield Town. And in Cornwall, it's decided Truro are champions. They are 29 points clear, and they've got Not, I think they play each other 3 times in that division, so they've got about 8 games left. But they will be definitely in the Brexit Champions League next season. In Cumbria, Carlisle still top by 11 points ahead of Barrow, but it's not decided just yet, but it probably will be soon, I imagine. In Derbyshire, Derby top by 10 points ahead of Chesterfield. And in Devon, Plymouth top of the league ahead of Tiverton, who are still holding second place ahead of Exeter and Torquay, even though they've lost 5 games against all their rivals, but no draws, and Exeter have been drawing games and dropping points, so 3 points behind Tiverton. Go Tiverton. They stay there, they make the Empire League, and that'll be good for them, because money. Bournemouth, unsurprisingly, top of the Dorset Premier Division, 21 wins out of 21 games, 83 goals scored. Have they had any big results? An 8-0 win over Bournemouth FC and Hamworthy, so decent wins. 1 goal conceded against Weymouth. Oh dear. In Durham, Hartlepool are top, 14 points clear of Stockton, who themselves are 2 points clear of Darlington. Stockton could be a surprise entrant into the Empire League there. They haven't even got a badge from a logo pack I recently downloaded, which I'm slightly annoyed about, and I'll explain why in a moment when we get to Greater Manchester. Colchester, top of the league in Essex, ahead of Southend by 9 points now, it looks like. Billericay not far behind Southend there, so Billericay could be running Southend for their Empire League spot. While in Greater London, it's getting exciting there. Spurs are actually 7 points clear at the top, still unbeaten. Arsenal in second. They've not actually lost since they lost that North London derby. Chelsea have dropped to third on 59 points, with Crystal Palace joining that position, but Chelsea have played a game less. Fulham and West Ham are, well, Fulham are just behind on 58, West Ham are on 51, and then you've got Brentford on 48 and QPR on 43. It's very close in Greater London. While in Greater Manchester, Man United still top, 23 wins out of 23, 22 wins out of 23 for Man City. Here's the bit I find annoying about the logo pack. For some reason, it didn't have Man U in it. It has every other team possible that you could think of that did it. It was a mega pack, but no Man U badge. Bit weird. Anyway, in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, Southampton are top by 7 points ahead of Portsmouth. While in Herefordshire, Hereford have won the league. They are 25 points clear of Westfields, and I think it was inevitable from about a month in that Hereford would be winning it. Surprisingly, they haven't won every game. Uyas Harold drew them 2-2. In Hertfordshire, Watford are top by 9 points from Stevenage, while in Kent, Gillingham are top, 10 points clear of Ebbsfleet United, who themselves are 11 points clear of Dover Athletic. In Lancashire, it's close. Burnley have reached the summit with 19 wins out of 23, but they are closely followed, only a point ahead of Blackburn Rovers, although they do have a game in hand. Preston also have a couple of games in hand and are on 55 points, so it's all to play for in Lancashire. And Blackpool aren't too far behind either. And Accrington, actually, 47 for Accrington. It's a close one. In Leicestershire and Rutland, we've got the not surprising sight of Leicester being top of the league, 25 wins, 100% record, 91 goals scored, and we'll check for their big wins. They've not had any big wins recently. But who have they scored the most against? 11 goals against Melton. Lincolnshire, Scunthorpe top by 2 points ahead of Lincoln City. Boston United in third, Grimsby in fourth. Merseyside, Liverpool have retaken top spot from Everton because they caught up with their games in hand. They've scored 121 goals from their 24 games and only conceded 1 goal, 72 points. Any big wins recently? 7-0 against Southport, 6-0 against Prescott, 7-0 against Pilkington. Yep, they've had a few decent wins. In fact, how many exactly? 16 goals against Lower Breck and Liverland respectively. Everton, though, they're only 3 points behind because they've played the same amount of games but only lost one less, or lost one extra game ahead, and that was against Liverpool. Well, we haven't had a second Merseyside derby yet. Not that every match isn't a Merseyside derby. In Norfolk, Norwich are top by 10 points ahead of Kings Lynn, while in Northamptonshire, Northampton are top by 11 points from Kettering. In Northumberland, Tweedmouth still top of the league and 7 points clear now, so they're looking like they've got a decent shout. In Nottinghamshire, Nottingham Forest are top, ahead of Mansfield Town by 5 points, who themselves are 9 points clear of Notts County. In Oxfordshire, Oxford are top by 1 point ahead of Tame United, or Fame. I don't know how, I'm not sure which one's which, but Oxford do have a game in hand. Shropshire, Shrewsbury are top, 1 point ahead of TNS and also with 1 game in hand. Somerset, Yeovil are top by 13 points, so they should be claiming that title soon. And in Staffordshire, Stoke are top on goal difference from Burton Albion, both on 90 points. They've won 30 each and lost 1 each. And was that against each other by some chance? Yeah, they beat each other. Stoke have managed to score 101 goals too, so they may have had a decent result here and there. 7-0 win against Chasetown. In Suffolk, Ipswich are top, 97 points. They are 16 points clear of Leicester, so Ipswich, I imagine, will be taking their place in the Brexit Champions League soon. In Surrey, Woking top by some margin ahead of Staines, and in Sussex, Brighton are top by 6 points clear of Crawley, who have same amount of games played, but they've lost 2 games, and one of them, as we know from the last edition, was not against Brighton. One was against Bognor Regis, who are in 3rd. In Tyne and Wear, Newcastle, top of the league, ahead of Sunderland by 10 points. Sunderland not doing too great, they've dropped points in 4 games. When we see there, draws with Hebburn and Gateshead, and they lost to Gateshead, so Sunderland didn't beat Gateshead at all, which isn't good for them. In Warwickshire, Stratford still holding firm against Nuneaton, 64 points to their 61. It's going to be close, and could Nuneaton catch Stratford? In the West Midlands, Wolves 1 point ahead of Aston Villa, and then a few more points ahead of Birmingham, who are 3 points clear of West Brom and 3 points clear themselves of Coventry. Again, a little bit close at the top and in between 3rd and 5th. Swindon, obviously top of Wiltshire by some distance, and Kidderminster clearly top of Worcestershire by some distance. Looking into Yorkshire, another one of the close ones. Leeds top by 5 points ahead of Huddersfield. And then we have Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday in 3rd and 4th, Barnsley in 5th, Rotherham in 6th, Middlesbrough down in 7th, which must be disappointing for them, Hull in 8th. A quick flick through the lower divisions in England. You can see who has cemented, if anyone has cemented their place. London Colney have been promoted to the Hertfordshire Premier Division, and see quite a few teams have confirmed playoff positions, but not too many are early promoted. We knew about Walton and Hersham because that was from the start of the video. And in League 1, no one has been promoted just yet in the 3rd tier, in the 4th tier, and in the 5th tier. Yes, so we know all the promoted teams there so far. In the FA Cup, we're on the quarter-final stage, just like with the other ones. Watford versus Man City or Norwich. Arsenal v Liverpool or Man U, so they're playing in the FA Cup and the Brexit Champions League. Can Liverpool get their own back on Man U in the FA Cup? Barnsley or Burton will make the semi-finals, and then we've got Tottenham v Chelsea. So there's a couple of tasty ties there. So Arsenal versus Liverpool, Man U, and Spurs v Chelsea. A couple of tasty ties, and then you've got Barnsley or Burton in the semi-finals. Which again, this is a money spinner tournament. They can make Barnsley and Burton just from the winner of that match gets £5 million. Loser gets 100k. So money for everyone. In the League Cups, semi-finals all round for most of them. Buckinghamshire, Chesham v MK Dons in the final. Then we've got Callington v Truro in the Cornwall final. We knew about the Cumbrian one. Plymouth v Torquay in the Devon one. That's a decent tie for Devon. Those are 2 of the bigger teams. Bournemouth are playing Weymouth in the Dorset final. In London, West Ham versus Sutton or Chelsea, and Spurs v Crystal Palace in the semi-finals. Where are Arsenal? Where did Arsenal drop out? Arsenal lost to Spurs in the North London derby. Oh dear. Oh, went too far there. Greater Manchester, I think we already knew the semi-finals there. we scroll along, went too far there. Not them as it's Leicestershire. We know who's winning that one. Leicester are going to win that one at a counter, I imagine. Lincolnshire. In Merseyside, Tranmere will play Everton or Liverpool in the final. That one could be interesting. Norwich versus Wroxham in the final in Norfolk. Shrewsbury played TNS in the battle of the top two in the Shropshire League Cup final. Meanwhile, I think that's all of them. And I think we already knew who was in the final in Warwickshire, but just to confirm, Stratford frustrating Nuneaton some more by beating them to top spot in Group A and making the final against Leamington. In the West Midlands, Wolves v West Brom and Coventry United v Walsall. So Coventry United making the semi-finals, which must be good for them. I think the semi-finals you get a bit of money in these ones. So they got 500,000 just by winning the quarterfinals, and they will get 1 million if they can make the final. Wiltshire and Worcestershire, Kidderminster v Redditch in the final of the Worcestershire League Cup, and in the Yorkshire League Cup, Huddersfield play Hull and Barnsley v Leeds in the semis. Finally, the leasing.com trophy. We'll have a quick look there. They're down to one page. I would say let's have a look at the big games, but it's lower divisions. There probably aren't any big games in comparison to the others. Apologies to any fans of these teams in real life. We can see who the top, because obviously Herefordshire and Northumberland don't have a League Cup, so I'd put them in this tournament. So Blythe or Hayes and Yeading against Brislington. Hereford play Enfield Town, and Tweedmouth, the top team in Northumberland at the moment, they play Chertsey. Hereford, they've won the Herefordshire League, as we know, which means they've got 80 million coming to them next season. And we also have Morpeth against Saffron Walden. The lowest ranked team in the competition still, Enfield FC from the Greater London League 2. They are playing Hallen. And that is it for this video, I think. So we'll leave it there. On the next edition, we will only be looking at the final tables in the league. So we're going to fast forward it to the first week of May. So after the first weekend of May, so we can see the final tables. We'll have a look at all the final tables, including Northern Ireland and all the other countries. And then in a second edition, we'll have a look and see how we'll skip to the end of May and the start of June, and we can see how the Champions League's finished and all the cups finished. So leagues on first edition, cups in the second edition. We'll catch you then. Rock on, like and subscribe.